completely. If we don't factor, we're not going to be able to simplify because we're not allowed to simplify terms. A student who simplifies the x squared with x squared has no knowledge of algebra, has to start from scratch. So please do not ever simplify terms. It's not possible. So I have to factor the greatest common factor. According to the strategy, my first step in my mind is this descending order. My second step is greatest common factor. I can never skip those steps. If I skip those steps, I'll get stuck, or I may not even be able to simplify or factor. Now the denominator is already, I see it, it's a difference of squares, so it's x plus 1, x minus 1. Now the numerator is a factor of the first degree. There is nothing I can do there unless there is a greatest common factor, but there is none. And the denominator, I see it's in descending order, no greatest common factor, no negative leading coefficient. The special product is not applicable here, but at least 1 is the leading coefficient. So this should be an easy task. The product is 3, the sum is 4. So x plus 1, x plus 3. In a division, I'm not allowed to simplify across like this. That's never allowed. But I'm allowed to simplify each fraction by itself. That is perfectly okay. So I will simplify, not before I write restrictions though. So x cannot be plus or minus 1 and x cannot be negative 3. So
is the cross simplification, is that multiplication?
I cannot simplify a factor from here with a factor from here. That's all I meant.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it's a division. I can do that, but only after I change it into a product. As is in a division, I'm not allowed to simplify a factor from here with a factor from here like I am in multiplication.
Okay.
Or a factor from here with a factor from here like I am allowed in multiplication situation.
Okay.
In a division, I have to wait. Even if I see that there is a common factor that I could get rid of, I cannot do that. It's not allowed in a division.
Okay.
Only in a multiplication, so I have to wait till I flip it. But each fraction, okay, so
in a division, I'm allowed to simplify if I can. And I can. I already stated the restrictions. The restrictions are not required in Pearson at this point. But please remember that this will be added later. And you're going to wonder, why didn't anybody tell me it from the beginning? And I want you to know that this is required. They're not requiring it now, which is a mistake, in my opinion. So this is required later. But I don't want my students to say, oh, I didn't know that. Why didn't anybody tell me? Which is absolutely true and correct. So I had to tell you this. Because if x is plus or minus 1 or negative 3, this does not exist anymore. I have nothing else to talk about. But if I state the restriction that x cannot be whatever, because the denominators cannot be 0, then I know algebra. I know what follows. And the next thing is very important with this. But I am allowed to simplify each fraction by itself because I see a common factor in the fraction itself. And I also see a common factor in the fraction itself, not across. I cannot do that in a division. Good. So now after I'm done with that, and there is nothing else I can do individually for each fraction, then I will copy the first fraction, which is x over x plus 1. I have to change this into a multiplication, and now I have to flip into x plus 1 over 1. Now I am allowed to simplify across from the symbol. And the answer is x. Of course, this is the correct answer. The answer is not x. The answer is x only if those conditions are fulfilled.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Sure. Is it better overall?
It is better because I wasn't sure about the because I thought you could do it cross with division. But
No. In a division, we cannot. We have to
And then
wait till we
use
change
the-
it into a product. But each
Okay.
fraction by itself can be always simplified.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Next question, anybody else? Other questions, anything else that you would like to review or go back to? Anything?
I mean, 8.6 and 8.7, there's a lot of answers, questions in there, but I don't know exactly.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look first at 8. You said 8.6, 8.7. Very good. Let's take a look. 8.6. Good. Let's see. Anything.
I can't open mine, so I can't tell you.
That's fine. So I'm going to just click and you tell me. We'll do as many as we need to. Okay, this is a little silly. Okay, so the square root property, is that okay? Or
I mean, unless someone else wants it.
okay. Square root property. You tell me when to stop. Square root property. Square root property, it needs one more step and then we can use the square root property, but not now, not as it is. Square root property. Square root property.
Okay.
Very good. So here we have 7 quantity x plus 9 squared minus 11 equals 3. As I like to say, this needs cleaning up. Of course, I'm going to add 11 to both sides. Of course, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. You cannot distribute because it's the power. The power dictates. You cannot distribute. So you can only clean it up. I cleaned it up. I know that if I forget the plus or minus, I do not get the correct answer. I expect 2 solutions because this is quadratic. Even if I get 1 solution, it will be a double solution, but I have to get 2 solutions. So then all I have to do is insert 9 appropriately, right in front of the sign plus or minus. Is this okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Anybody needs anything on this problem? Any explanation? Anything? Okay, so let's move on and click some more. Careful again, because the Pearson will ask you to put minus 9 plus the square root of 2, comma, minus 9 or negative 9 minus the square root of 2. Solve the equation using the square root property. Here, yes or no?
No.
You know that you have to change this into x minus 3 everything squared. Otherwise, it makes no sense. You cannot take the square root as is.
Okay, let's do that one.
You have to complete the square based on the binomial squared that we discussed, the formula that we discussed a long time ago. So this is x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 16. Do not write this. This will be a terrible mistake. You cannot do anything like that because you cannot take the square root of a sum or difference. So you have to perform the factored. You have to determine the factored form. And how do I know? Because it's x squared minus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. Only now you can take the square root and get x minus 3 equals plus or minus 4. And negative 3 has to be appropriately inserted in front of the plus or minus. So x equals 3 plus or minus 4. So we have 7 and minus 1. Do not attempt to take the square root from a sum of terms. It's a bigger a mistake as the other one with simplifying terms. Any questions? Any questions on this one before we go back to flipping through problems? Okay. So this is again x minus 5 squared equals 36, and you can apply the square root property. Okay, complete the square in this expression. Didn't hear anything. Okay.
Okay.
Good. So here we have x squared minus 5x. They're asking us, what should we add so that this is a perfect square? So this is the question here. So what we have to do is go through the 4-step procedure. -5 divided by 2. Square 25 over 4. This is the number that I have to add. 25 over 4. And this is what I get. X minus 5/2 squared. Check. First term squared. Minus 2 times the first times the second. Plus the second term squared.
I guess I didn't understand the x minus. Oh.
The first term squared minus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared.
Okay.
So the first step, I identified the middle coefficient. In step 2, I divided by 2. In step 3, I square this number. And this is what I have to add. And the final answer is this.
Okay.
This number, after I square, belongs here. This number belongs inside the square. I would recommend take a picture of this if you don't want to look at the PDF files or watch the videos again. Take a screenshot or take a picture of this and put it in your notes. Anybody, any questions on this problem before we continue? Please don't be shy. Do we need any explanation here? Okay, back to flipping through problems. Okay. This is the same idea. It's just that the middle coefficient is 1/5 and it's not 5, or I'm sorry, -5 as we had it. When you divide a fraction by 2, you actually multiply it by 1/2. So please remember, if I have a fraction that I have to divide by 2, think of it as simply as multiplying it by 1/2. And you will never have difficulties in dividing fractions by 2. If you say divide 1/4 by 2, I flip, so that means 1/8. Let's say you are asking me to divide 1/16 by 2, I multiply by 1/2 and I get 1/32. So division is the same with division by 3 and division by anything, right? So if it's divided by 3, you multiply it by 1/3. If it's divisible by 4, you multiply by 1/4. And you can do it in a blink.
Can we go over square root property with quadratic equations?
Square root property with quadratic equations?
Yeah, for
But that's
8.6.
that's what I've been doing. Quadratic equations with a square root property.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, I wasn't sure whether I understood this correctly. All these are, if it's not quadratic, I cannot use the square root property. It has to be quadratic, but it has to be set up like this. In this situation, I cannot apply the principle of taking square roots or the property of taking square roots, same thing. I have to complete the square first. But I cannot use this principle on linear equations, for example. It has to be quadratic. So everything that we applied the property of taking square roots, it must be quadratic or above. Good. Let's continue flipping. Okay, I don't know if we want to do this with matching this and that. You let me know. So the quadratic equation by completing the square. Is this what you had in mind, Ty?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what we were getting there, slowly but surely. Okay, so in this equation, x squared plus 2x equals 35, we cannot apply the square root property. That's not going to work because I cannot take a square root of a sum. Don't ever attempt to take the square root of a sum of terms or a difference of terms. I know it's tempting, but it's not possible. So I have to go through the 4-step procedure. 2 is the middle coefficient. I divide it by 2. I square and I get 1. And this is what I have to add to both sides. Because I know that this is x plus 1, everything squared, and this is 36. Now I have completed the square on the left-hand side. I have a positive number on the right-hand side. 36. So now I can take the square root and I get x plus 1 equals plus or minus 6. Remember, plus or minus do not come from the square root. Never say the square root of 36 is plus or minus 6. No, the square root of 36 is only positive 6. So now I have to insert the negative 1 wisely. And then I have to separate the solutions into negative 7 and negative 5. Positive 5, sorry. Negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. Negative 1 plus 6 is positive 5. Good. Any questions? Any questions on this?